Hello and welcome to the short Vort on Vort Chukas from Chamishi to Shishi. Today I'd like you to like as well as share this Devar Torah, and I have three questions that I'd like to discuss. First, why was Aharon buried on Har HaHor near Edom? Why was he not buried somewhere else? Next question is that when he passed away, Aharon, and we have two deaths this week, we have Miriam's death and Aaron's death. So why does it say Vayamas shom? He died there. And the third question is, it says that Vayar kol ha'eda ki kava Aaron v'yivku es Aaron shloshim yom. The whole congregation saw that Aaron died, and they cried for him 30 days. Kol beis Israel, all the house of Israel. So if it already says kol ha'eda, why does it say afterwards kol beis Israel? It seems to be redundant. So the first question is based on Rabbi YeHonasan in Tiferes YeHonasan, and he says that the reason why Aharon HaKohen was buried near Edom is because we saw a similar relationship with Moshe. When he passed away, he was buried near Baal Pa'ar. Now why was it Beis Pa'ar? Why was he buried there? Because the Jews had sinned with Baal Pa'ar, which is an avodah zarah, idol worship that is done in a disgusting way with human waste. And Moshe came and protected the Bnei Yisrael because he went up to Har Sinai and he was there for 40 days. He didn't eat, he didn't drink, and in his zechus, the Bnei Yisrael had the miraculous man that they ate in the desert, and that was absorbed in the skin and did not create any waste product that could be used or attempted to be used to sin with Baal Pa'ar. And therefore Moshe was buried by Beis Pa'ar, Aharon. So he was, as we know, he was Ohev Shalom v'Rodev Shalom, and Esav, Edom, complained that his younger brother Yaakov, he stole the Bechorah, he stole other blessings, that he was, as the older person, Esav should have gotten these, and it wasn't right to have such a theft. But Aharon comes and proves the opposite, that even though his younger brother Moshe was on a higher level of leadership for him, he did not complain. He was actually happy for his brother, as we've seen earlier in the Torah. Therefore, as a protection also, just like Moshe was a protection for the Bnei Yisrael, and therefore he was buried by Beis Pa'ar, Aharon was buried near Edom as to counterclaim, saying, no, you don't have a claim. Just because he was younger doesn't mean he stole it from you. You got to be happy for him, and therefore he was buried in this place on Har HaHor. So we have another thing where the Sefer of Malai HaOmer. So why was Aharon? Why was he buried there? He died there. What was the actual language of shom? So he answers that Misa, the language of death, only applies when someone does not have a child who is on the same level as the father. But if there's a same level or greater as the father, then you do not use the language of Misa when the person passes away. So for example, in Yoav, so he didn't have a son who was as great as him, so it says language of Misa. But David HaMelech, who had the son who's great, Shlomo Melech, therefore it has language of Shechiva when he passes away. Therefore, since Aharon had a son like Elazar, who became the Kohen Gadol in his place, why is it that the language of Misa is even used here? So we answer that a Kohen Gadol is not fully a Kohen Gadol until he actually does Avodah. And right now, when Aharon passed away, his son took his clothing, the extra 4 vestments of the Kohen Gadol, and wore them, but he was not yet a Kohen Gadol. Therefore, he wasn't on the same elevated level as Aharon, and therefore, at that point, at that time, at that place, he was still not on a level of equality, and therefore, at that point, Aharon was still the language of Misa. But later on, not shom, not there, not then the language of Misa would no longer apply. And our final question was, so why does it say Vayu kol ha'ida that Aharon died, and then say they cried in the base called Beis Israel? So We have to understand that when the tzaddik passes away, it's not just the loss of the person, but also the loss of the merit. When Miriam passed away, the Bnei Yisrael didn't cry about her the same way, because they knew they lost Miriam, but they didn't realize that they also lost the merit, that the watering stone was there in her merit and it was gone. Then they realized what they lost. So when it came to Aharon, they knew, firstly, they cried for two reasons. They cried firstly because they lost Aharon, and what a wonderful tzaddik, and they also would lose the benefit. In his case, they lost the benefit of the Anani HaKavod that disappeared, and therefore the way to understand the pasuk is Vayiru kol heida ki gava Aharon vayivku es Aharon. All the people saw that of the congregation saw that Aharon died, and they cried for Aharon because they lost this tzaddik. But then it says that they also cried Kol Beis Yisrael. It says Kol Beis Yisrael, that they also cried about the loss that the Bnei Yisrael would have, that they lost the zechus of Aharon, and therefore they lost the Shekhinah. So thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week and a wonderful Shabbos. See you next week.